going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Behind the Door podcast with Brandon Brown and Jeremy Hiltz. We got two special guests today. Two people early in their reentry that are going to give us a little bit about their story and their experience, and just continue to, frame the context of prison and reentry and recovery and everything for everybody. So thank you guys for being on with us. Thank you, Jeremy, for being the man. And let's just start by you guys introducing yourself. If we want to start with you.
My name is Terry. I want to check in. It's like day 5. Just want to basically talk about my experience prior and as of right now.
Yeah, my name is Patrick. I'd like to thank Jeremy and what's your name again? Brandon, for giving me this opportunity, I think it's important that there's people out there who care, but sometimes they don't know what's going on behind the door. Behind the door. They like that door, right? That's a real prison door too. Look just like that. But it's also for the kids too. So, if you got some kids watching, you're gonna keep it clean so the kids can watch it and get a little understanding of what time it is. That's all right now for right now, but I'll turn it back over there.
And so Jeremy, for you, you know what I mean? You've got a lot of the context too, because you actually picked these two gentlemen up. And like Terry said, day 5 out. Today's day 5 or day 6? Day 5 out. So 5 days ago, you picked them up from the facility and brought them to ARCOM. So why don't you talk a little bit about just that part of the work that we're doing, and actually transitioning guys from the facilities and into the ARCOM programming.
Yeah, man, that's part of it's part of what I do, really. One of my favorite things to do is like go pick people up from the institutions, you know what I mean? And because I get to meet people like T and Patrick, man, they were up in a work camp out in the middle of nowhere in Charleston. It was about 2 hours from here, so we had a 2-hour ride back here, and I got to listen to these guys, and it was such an interesting conversation on the way back here. I said, man, we gotta get these guys on a podcast, because I just think that I think from the conversation I had, like, I'm full of optimism for their future. They both interesting men that I think both really want to do well in their lives and not go back into the system and be some of the stuff that like T was sharing with me about his life and how vulnerable he was getting already, and it was just a really cool conversation, and I want to follow these guys, man. I want them to come back, and after we get done talking to them today, maybe check in with them in a little while and like kind of follow them, see where they're at. You know what I mean? If they're willing to do that, be cool.
So for you guys, 5 days out, if we can ask, how long were you guys in for on this bid?
I've been in for a little bit over 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
And what about you, Patrick?
It's been like 21 months.
21 months?
Yeah. 5 years to serve with 2.5. I got 21 months before I got into the SECP program, which is the supervised. Yup. It's like you're on probation plus probation, but it ain't as bad, as long as you just follow the instructions. It's just like, it's like a chance to get out, and it's like I think it's gonna work out. I think it's gonna work out.
And how did you guys learn about the recovery connections in Maine while you were in the facility?
Well, I learned through just researching, and basically other recovery coaches was basically advertising how good the programs was doing. So I basically just tried to reach out through the website, and they embraced me. I embraced me. So then everything is history after that.
So what about you, Patrick? How'd you hear about ARCOM?
You know what? I got locked up March 27th, and I went from the county all the way to Two Bridges. And while I was in Two Bridges in R6, they had a program called Enzo. So I knew I needed to get help. I knew I just couldn't lay in the bed, because the mind, play tricks on you when you lay in the bed, get in trouble. Plus, it was, a lot of things going on that I didn't want to deal with. So I got into the Enzo program with a lady named Aziza. She's a nice lady. She was a counselor there. And I did the program twice. So, she was like, you know what? You want to go to a sober house? I was like, yeah, I'll go to sober house. Then she was like, well, I got a place for you to go. I was like, what's that? She showed me a thing on the internet, Recovery Connections. And she said, I'm going to send him an email and ask him, what's going on. But from the door, Jeremy was like, you accepted, you in. That was the fastest I ever got. I ain't believe it, but the road wasn't just, I had to go a whole lot of processes, you got to go get the court date. When he getting out, that didn't work out. Then I got sentenced to 2.5 years. So now that's a whole nother set of rules. Now you got to go through, the DOC rules. Then you got to go to Wyndham. Now when you go there, then after that, you got to wait for your time. What you mean? You just told me you got to wait half of your time. So now it was like, okay, I got to wait half of my time. So from there on, I went to MSP. Still, but all the while, this is important that if anybody in your family or any friends that's trying to get in the program and you can't get it right away, always stay in contact. Keep calling them. I had to call them a lot. Call them once a month. Let them know. Keep you on your mind, because when it's time to come, it shows that you're persistent. It shows that you really want it. And that's what I did. And I think it was over a year, me and Jeremy still
you talking.
Hey, Jay, man, you still remember me? Yeah. He be in his truck. You can hear him driving. Yep, I got you. So when I went to MSP, to Charleston, Mountain View, it was a wrap. Once I got there, I already had my halftime in. Then it was like the caseworker was like, well, you got halftime in. What do you got to do another drug program? You know what? Usually back in the day, I would kind of like, not rebel, but kind of be taken back, but it wasn't. I said, cool. I said, it's just practice. Because I know when I come here that I'm going to have to go to groups. Yeah. I know when I come here, I'm going to have to go to meetings. So it was like getting my mind prepared for what's to come.
Tell us how you ended up like in the system. Like, why'd you end up, what's a little bit of your background?
You know what? I'm 53, so I've been in the streets for a minute, but I didn't come from the streets. Both my parents was reverends. So basically, this addiction touches anybody. You don't have to be from the gutter or whatever. Addiction touches anybody. So, I came from Jersey. I grew up in Jersey. Back then it was like drugs was everywhere. I ended up in the streets. Got hooked on it. I ain't proud of it, but cocaine was my biggest problem. Because when I grew up, it was cool. Back in '85, it was cool because all my friends, I hung with older guys, so to them it was cool. But you don't do no dope. That's what they said.
Was in like the disco scene where you disco?
It was the shell toe Adidas with the big. I had with the big buckles. I thought I was Run DMC, and it was all that, and back then it was real, it became a lifestyle, but when the drugs got involved, man, it was rough. So I had older guys who had jobs, so they kept me out of the street. But as addiction progressed, it got worse. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go to jail right away, but then it went from my first time in jail, and then it went from being in jail to my mother dying. Then, I got in trouble, and I ended up doing, for my first time, 5 years in Trenton State, which was just the reception. Then I went down South Jersey, and it was like, you know what? When I look back, it's like, they tell you it's cool, but when you look back, all my friends who didn't get in trouble, they were going like to the Freaknik in Atlanta, but I couldn't go because all my money went to using. So it was like from Jersey, then, you know, I went to different prisons. Massachusetts, I went to prison, and then I came out here, and I was clean for a while, but then I relapsed. But this one right here is gonna be my last one. You know, you only live once. You know, and I like to thank you for giving me that opportunity. You know, for coming here, because I mean, opportunities when you get older is like come few far in between. But I had to be persistent.
But I think that's the important part that you said is, you know, at some point, no matter how much you've cycled through the system, whether it's your first time or your 50th time, it's got to get to a point where you're not just saying that it's the last time, that you really mean that, and you find the tools to actually carve that pathway out. So that's important. That's an important thing to recognize. What about you, T? Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from. And
So my situation was basically, I come from New York City, Harlem,
Jungle.
Bronx. So this right here gave me all the tools. Like, basically, like, I learned, like, to basically just analyze the situation I'm going through, right? And just think about it, whether I did it wrong or I did it right, and just learn about it. And just think about how I could move on and learn from it. So when I was in Maine, incarcerated, I realized that I was wasting a lot of time doing the wrong things. Like, but I had to accept it, and I just try to make my situation better. And this Jeremy Hiltz gave me the opportunity and all the tools I could do. I mean, all the tools to accomplish it. Like, right here, this public speaking, like, that's something I got to work on.
And did you guys know coming out to Archon that Jeremy has, you know, is a veteran of the system as well? Like, did you guys know that when you first learned about Archon, that Jeremy's also been inside?
Did my research on it.
Yep.
And how important was that for you coming home, like to be around somebody or people that understood like exactly what you was coming out from?
I was looking forward to this, like, when, like, basically, this is motivation. This shows that all of this stuff, like, as far as giving other people the opportunity, that's motivating right there, actually, to be here and see, like, I came home and it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And it's like, it's happening. That's basically, like, it's so much to say, but it's like, it's happening. That's all I can say. It's happening.
I got a question, man, I'm interested about, because, you know, like, when I went to prison, and when I got there in 2009, and, you know, what the prison looked like in 2009 compared to what it looked like in, you know, 2014, 2016, 2018 while I was there, you know, we saw in Maine specifically, like, when I first got there was maybe like seven or eight, you know, black guys and brown guys in the prison. And, you know, 9 years into my sentence, I'm like, there's more and more people of color that are coming into the prison, you know what I mean, through the opiate epidemic. And it was something that I was kind of struggled with. Like, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. And so I'm interested from you guys' perspective, like, coming from New Jersey and New York, coming up to Maine, and, like, arriving at the prison. What was that experience like for you coming into that prison, you know, your first week, your first month inside? What was, like, the first thoughts that went through your head?
So what I got from it was, all right, everybody here is going through the same thing. So I was getting to know people, build relationships with certain people. Well, really everybody, because it was really small. It's only about 700, 800 people in MSP. So I realized that everybody, situations were similar. Then I started noticing is a cycle. I started seeing people go home, and everybody that keep coming back is the same thing. Like, it's either people, it's basically the same thing. People was out here, they had drug addictions, and they had problems that they was dealing with, and they was causing them to do, like, basically they was supporting their habits. They was going through something with mental health that they wasn't going to sit back and realize the problem and have a window to really take care of the problem. So I guess like they wasn't accepting it, so they couldn't fix it. So it's like a problem that's just buried. So that right there, like recovery, mental health, all that plays an important role, and everything, it all works together. So I just noticed like everybody was keep doing the same thing, like even black, white, Spanish, everybody. Maine had a drug problem, drug trafficking, all that plays an important role because people is not just selling drugs. They is a mental because they doing something too. They trying to support their habits too. It's not like people was making people's millionaires, and because people was in there that was so-called millionaires, they was broke. They was in there struggling. So I was just saying it's a lot of different things I noticed in there.
And Patrick, what was it like? Because you said you've done time in a couple other states too. So what was it like for you coming into the Maine system? Like what was different or what was shocking?
You know, when I first got locked up, I was like, here I go again. You know, and it was like, I wasn't afraid. Because, you know, like I've been here before, but still, every time you go, I mean, no matter how nice the doors look, how nice the social worker, because the difference between when I came to prison and now, it's like a rehab. They got social workers. They even changed the names, you know. Now you're an inmate instead of a convict. So, you know, but still, underneath, still prison. So when I came, I wasn't really shocked at the white-black thing, you know, because, I mean, addition, we just, know it don't care what color you are, you know. All I cared about was like, okay, how am I make it through? What do I got to do? I can sit in here. I can play cards all day. I can get into fights. You want to get high, you can get high. But, you know, I played my little cards, but I didn't use. Because I knew that's what got me there, you know. I did my programs. You know, I did them because it gave me something to do. Plus, I knew if you do them, it'll help you down the line. So, I mean, when I got here, you know, when I got here, though, I mean, things were a little bit different from here and the other time with the prison because they give you what they can or what they allow in the prison. But it's up to you to kind of, you know, help yourself to it, you know. And I've seen a lot of things. And you know, and I'm not the one to go up to nobody and preach. But every now and then, you know, like me and T, you know, we cool. I don't preach to him, even though I'm older than him. He knows. But I know that he might ask me a question if he's struggling. I'm coming to him like a brother, you know, and you know, it was like I just looked at it as I looked at it as, okay, I didn't learn my lesson. Now I got to come back and do it again. What did I miss? It was like a time machine. Oh, you screw up. You got to go back and do it again. So you know, I guess what it taught me was, you know, look, you can keep doing this. Somebody told me a long time ago. The dude was like 89, and Shirley met him, medium. He said, "Young blood, don't grow old in jail." Didn't understand what he meant. I do now. You can keep doing this thing over and over until either you die or end up going to prison for the rest of your life. And I look, I only got one life. So, you know, I'm going to live it, you know. And thanks to Jeremy, you know, he been through it. And when I heard that, I heard stories about Jeremy, you know. But what helped me deal with the fear was that he's still clean. And with his high power and being clean, look what he did. If he can stay clean, and I know he got the same thoughts and feelings I had, I can do it too. That's what I got. I can do it too. I know he had thoughts of using. I know he had thoughts of maybe hurting somebody or maybe family dying. But he stayed focused. He stayed clean. He put one foot in front of the other. So, you know, the proof is in the pudding, you know?
How does that make you feel, Jeremy, to hear that, to hear like that your story is resonating with people that are coming home, you know, beyond just the fact that you can relate to them, but also like what you've made of yourself or what you've built with Recovery Connections. I mean, how important is that for you, for guys that you're picking up in the facility, bringing to the program?
It's like humbling, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I'm just trying to do the right thing, you know what I'm saying? What I think is the right thing to do. And it gives me a lot of like motivation in my life to see like Patrick and T coming home, you know what I mean? Like it makes me feel grateful that I have an opportunity, like I've been able to create something that can benefit these guys, you know what I mean? Like that makes me proud, you know what I mean? I'm proud of and not only that, like, you know, we built a great relationship with the Department of Corrections and probation and SCCP, and like there's a trust that goes both ways, so it makes it easier for these guys to come out, and like to be a part of that is it's a humbling experience, knowing that I did come from the same places, the same, you know what I mean? But what we do is provide opportunity. We don't. I was just having a conversation with this guy the other day. He said, "Oh, you saved my life." I said, "No, man. We provide opportunity. We don't save lives. We don't do any of that stuff because we've had guys that come out and have the same exact opportunity and go the other way. So they use us for a taxi to get back to town. You know what I mean, or whatever. You know what I mean. So it's really about like these guys as individuals that run with it or buy into what we're doing. You know what I mean? So Patrick, you know, he has called me for a while from all these different places. I get text messages, like, this guy's over here, the things are shut off, he's over here now, he's making all this stuff. And I said, listen, no matter what happens, I'll be there the day that you get out. You know what I mean? I promise I'll be there to pick you up. You know what I mean? And that helps me on a personal level, but it's also hopefully something that can be modeled after, so that like there's other because we can't do it all. You know what I mean? Like no one can do it all, right? Like so there's hopefully it becomes like the way we handle it. You know what I mean? Is that like these guys can just call up and go, okay, boom, and not have to worry about it after that, not have to lose sleep at night wondering if somebody's gonna be there to pick me up. You know what I mean? Like because Patrick is worth more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like Patrick is valuable enough to know that somebody's gonna be there to pick me up when I get out of here. You know what I mean? T is, you know what I'm saying? Like people are valuable enough. They need that. You know what I'm saying? We need that. I needed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's important, man. One of the things that we try to do with the podcast, you know, bringing people on and telling their stories and talking about, you know, the way that the system's not working, how it should and how we would want it to, is like a lot of what Jeremy's talking about. I mean, I don't know how many guys you guys ran into in your time that are just like, just gonna come back. You know what I mean? It's like, what? I'm just gonna come back. Like nobody wants to be there, you know, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't really understand. And, you know, hearing you guys say that you got to this point where you like, you know, T, you're talking about like, man, I'm in there and I'm realizing I got to learn something from every situation, right? I got to figure out what I did wrong to get me where I'm at, which means I got to figure out what I could do right. And, you know, Patrick, with you, I hear you talking about like, you know, I've been cycling in and out of this a little bit and now I'm back in it again. And, you know, I need that outlet and need people to support me. And like what Jeremy just said is that like, you can't save anybody's life, right? You can't provide anybody the chance to grab a hold of things. That's the part that's on us all as individuals, right? We can create opportunities for people. But how many guys, like you said, you saw people cycling in and out. And so how many guys have it in their mind that I don't want to do this, I want to change, I don't want to continue to do this, but then they get out and they don't actually have the supports and the outlets to make the changes, right? So how important for you guys is it to actually have that outlet, that support, that system of people caring for you and showing up for you to actually make those changes that you want to make?
It's a lot of people like that. I can say that I'm one of those people. So my first experience in prison was when I was 17. It was in New York. Mm-hmm. So I had basically a 2-year bid. So I came home and when I was in prison, it was fun to me. I thought it was a game. I was young. I was coming home in a couple months. This bid broke me though. So I ain't have like the support. I ain't have none of that to come home to. So this right here, it gave me all of that. So I just want to say thank you.
What was it like for you, like that difference between, you know, obviously it sinks in a little bit more when you get 2 versus when you get 6, right? Like that 6 years, like you sit back like, holy shit, like a lot of shit changes in 6 years, right? But that difference about coming home right away versus looking down the road, like it's going to be a while, you know, what was that difference like for you, thinking about what you were going to come home to after that amount of time?
So the difference was the time, and it's either you going to accept it and be real with yourself, or you going to just lie to yourself. And me, it's like I'm aware, so it was hard for me to just lie to myself because it's still going to be in the back of my head. Like, so it's like I got sentenced to 10 years, but SCCP, this allowed me to come home on SCCP. So this right here I looked up how you was on that parole. I was looking up that I was on that. When the bill got shot down, I was disappointed. I was looking forward to this whole thing, but so like Pat was saying, like the DLC, so they made a policy for SCCP which requires that you have a house to go to, you have school or job. For SCCP, you have 30 months or less on your bid. You there's a bunch of rules. So in order to get this opportunity to reintegrate into society, you gotta have all of those things. So when you behind that door and you don't have that resource, you don't have none of those things. The only person you could go to is a caseworker, and like the caseworkers is like, I mean,
Not always the easiest.
yeah, like when it's time for like the state to come, yeah, they there. They gonna answer your questions, but other times you might not get to have your caseworker help you for the things you really need. So not saying all of them, it's some you might get lucky. You might have a caseworker that genuinely cares, but you might have a caseworker that don't even come some days, and you write a request to them and they never respond to you. And then if you go ask them a question in person, they tell you can't do that, you gotta write a request. So it's like you don't really have, but Jeremy helps and people like you gave us the opportunity to basically reach out to them. Y'all gonna answer your phone. Like I was calling Jeremy Hills from behind the door, calling him, not from the caseworker. I was calling him on my own, and he was basically telling me like everything that I was looking for. Like, we'll help you with a ride, we'll help you get a job.
So he was able to lie everything out, like because of the way that Jeremy operates, the way that Arcom operates. He was actually able to lie everything you needed up for SCCP without all the help of the facility and the system.
Wow.
That's what I mean, because it wasn't there, right? But you actually had an opportunity to lie it up. So how important is, like, how many people out here in society believe that the prison gives you everything you need and helps you figure it out?
I'm not gonna sit up here and sugarcoat that, but I don't know who believe that. But if you was behind that door, I don't know, you must have been special. But I'm not saying everybody though, because it might be some people. It's some case. I'm not gonna say every caseworker, because
There's a couple.
I didn't have that caseworker, but I actually had to go to another caseworker. Like,
Who wasn't even your own.
yeah, that's not even my caseworker, but they just helped me because they basically just, I don't know, I guess they just wanted to help me. But
Here's a question for you, Patrick, too. Like, just based on what T is saying, like, there's a lot of people in society who want to believe that, like, you know, you just go, you do your time, and then you come home and you figure it out. You know, we shouldn't help you. You did the crime, right? You do the time and you figure it out and make changes. And then there's other people that believe that, like, oh, caseworkers are in, they're setting everything up. Like, people have all these opportunities to do all these things, right? But what would the difference for you have been if you didn't get out on SCCP, find Jeremy's program, have this community, versus if you just did every day for day on your time and just came home and tried to figure it out day one? Yeah.
I mean, listen, this is how it goes. You're gonna do your time, and if you get some time off on that day, they're gonna give you a $50 check and give you a bus ticket. Maybe they'll get you a place to stay for a couple weeks, and then from there, it's like now you're on your own. And I know for me, when I got out last time, I mean, don't get me wrong, I knew that there was places to go. But getting there, after all that time, I still had to go through the jungles. Even though the jungles in my mind, it was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to this street over here and talk to this caseworker I never talked before. I still ain't got a place to stay. I got a $50 check. Now, versus, well, let me go see who on the block. Come on, I mean, and even though you're in it, your mind's still kicking. So it's like, if it's like that, it's like, once upon a time, that's how prison was. There was none of that. Like, look, I remember you had to call, you had to write the program, they had to send you an application, then you had to fill that application out, send it back, then you had to send it to a caseworker that might call you. So, I mean, doing it that way, you get real frustrated. And you tend to find roadblocks, so you give up. Because it's easier to go backwards to doing something that than to say, you know what, let me challenge this fear. So I'm grateful that the opportunities to say, well, look, all the tools is here. We're going to put the tools here, but you got to pick them up. See, that's the thing. I got to have faith in myself, and I got to challenge the fear and pick up the tool. It is going to be easy? Nope. But you know what? As a result, I love Jeremy's program because, see, when I got there, it was like, hey, welcome home. The fellas was there. Hey, man, we got food, got the little dog, got a big dog in there. He like to chase squirrels. Quiet dog, but he's cool. But everything was there, the dishwasher, all that. See, all that stuff takes the stress off of, because that little stuff means a lot. Absolutely. Dishwasher, food. You ain't got to worry about getting a job right now. Of course, you're going to work later on, but you might go to dentist. You might got to go to IOP. And I get it, because if the head ain't right and you running around with all that gook in you, you got a job and all this money, but you ain't got no tubes. And I know that's for me. I got a lot of stuff going on. So this is giving me time. This is giving me time. Time and patience, and discipline. Am I afraid? Of course. But I know it's just feelings and emotions. I'm pretty sure y'all have that. Everybody got it. But I look at the difference between a person who say, you know what? Regardless of how I feel, I'm going to still do it. So I don't have no excuses. I believe deep down inside, that my higher power gave me this opportunity. Whether the people on the outside to think I deserve it or not, my higher power felt like, you know what, here's an opportunity. I feel you deserve it. I know you can do it. And I'm here, so I've just got to take it one day at a time, be humble, and use the tools that's available. I got to put the work in.
But it's still on you, like, and that's the part that's the most important, I think, is you said I still got to put the work in. And a lot of times people say, like, the opportunities and this and that, and this is a big thing.
That's where it ends right there, right? Because that's what he said. I got all this stuff, but I got to put the work in, and that's where the sentence ends right there. It's like, I have to do the work. I have to show up. I have to do these things, right? You don't have to do it alone.
Exactly.
Wrap you up, we'll walk with you, right? But like you have to do the work. You have to do the heavy lifting.
And I think that's the important part too, that we talk about a lot on the podcast when we really try to get through to people, is like, it's not just a you thing, right? Like, number one, the opportunities have to be provided to you, and then you have to make the choice to do the work. But then you also have to have people accepting you to say, like, I see you. You want to do that work. You want to make that change. Like, yeah, you might have fucked up. I fucked up in 2008. I made a terrible decision. It sent me to prison for 17 years. But that's not who I am. And I actually have to have people who give me that outlet and that avenue to be something different, to be my evolved self, to be the person that you're talking about, T. Like, man, I sat in there, I looked at my mistakes, So like that part is so important, and I hear it so much in what you guys are saying, and it's always reflected in Jeremy and his program. Is like, we got to give people the opportunities. People got to do the work once they're given the opportunities, but then we got to have a community of people that actually accept you for who you are today, not who you were 6 years ago, not who you were 16 years ago. And I think that's a beautiful thing about hearing you guys' story, like hearing you coming home and talking about like, man, actually being welcomed into that community is making a difference for me.
I want to ask T, because you on the way over here you told me that you got to visit your family yesterday. Tell us about that experience. The first time and how long?
It's been, I didn't see my moms and my little brother for my whole time incarcerated. Deep.
And that's pretty significant when you're from he's from New York, he's in Maine. It's there's a distance thing. First time in 7 years. What did that feel like for you?
I ain't feel it till to the end. It basically, like, everything. It felt like everything. But as far as like when I was in prison, I call them and like I tell them like, nah, I don't want to see y'all because it's like y'all gonna come over here for an hour and have to leave. Like,
Make that whole journey 6 hours up to get maybe 2 hours in to go back for 6 hours.
just to see my mom's cry, that would have broke me. But so basically, like, my mom's, like, they came to see me, and I basically, like, when I was in prison, she used to always ask me, like, so how's it going? Like, when you come home, what you doing? So this is before I even was in minimum or anything, like. So I used to be thinking about that, like, she used to always ask me, like, what are you gonna do? Like, when you going, like, you don't really know nobody out there, like, what you doing? So as my journey, that's what I was trying to build, and this right here was basically everything right here. Like, Jeremy Hills basically gave me that opportunity. You too, you gave me motivation. I seen that on the parole bill and all that. I was looking at that.
Did you see your little brother too, right?
I seen little bro, that's big bro. I was seeing Tony grew up.
How wild is that to see that when you, I mean, it's like,
How old was he when you went in?
9 around.
He was 10, but what hurt me was the first time, like, I did it to them again, but the first time I ain't realize it. So it's like, now I realize, like, damn, I did it to him again. And the first time I ain't even see that I did it to him, so, and I ain't do it to my mom, so it's like, that's what hurt me. I'm like, damn, I did it to them again. I can't do it to them. Third time now, can't do that to them.
What would be if your brother's watching this or listening to this episode and you think about like your life and everything that you just said, what would be the one thing that you wanted to tell him, or any little brothers out there? You know, anybody who's got a brother who's in prison or who's coming out, what's one thing you want them to know that you learned through this whole process?
I basically learned how to become a better person. I'm not gonna say this experience right here is like, I learned a lot. This is giving me an opportunity to be better, but what I could say for somebody else is, it's better if they would have learned from my situation and go through it. Like, everybody keeps doing the same thing, and they could just learn from somebody. But people just keep making the same mistakes.
I'm listening to your story, T, man. I'm like, what I want everybody to know is like, oh, reach out for help, bro. Like, how easy would it have been for you to sit in the prison and go, I'm gonna figure this shit out on my own. Like, I'm gonna do my time, I'm gonna come home, and I'm just gonna figure it out. But instead, you did your research and you reached out and you looked for people that could lift you up and help you out. And that's one thing that I see a lot of people doing, is just thinking they could do it on their own, but you don't got to. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that.
The only reason why was because it was hope. When I don't have no hope, I'm on some fuck it, it's over. Like, I'm gonna have that mentality. But when I seen it, that's what made me research it. That's what made me research recall in the program. So I seen that, I'm like, nah, this can't be true. Like, This shit like, come on. Cause I already like I already was thinking about what I need in the future, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that from prison from right here. Can't do that by myself, so fuck it. I'm just go home and whatever, like when I go home, I figure it out. So then, I basically wasn't trying to, cause I knew in my mind, I knew like it was no way for me to do it by myself. So I'd rather just not even think about it and just do my time. And then it started coming to me like, basically like when it's a state meeting and now the caseworkers is advertising all of these programs for us and they saying that they're actually reach out to the programs for us. That's when I'm like, all right, well, all of a sudden now it's hope. Then that's when I reached out to Jeremy House on my own. And this is proof, like, since the beginning, since he was answering his phone calls. I'm like, all right, answer his phone calls. He emailed my caseworker for me. My caseworker, everything, like, came to get us to right now.
Hope is a powerful thing, man. I think that's one takeaway. I hope everybody listens. Patrick, what do you want to say about hope? What do you want people who are listening in to understand about the power of hope for you coming home this time?
You hear about the word hope and all the other words, and I guess if you don't go through something, all it is a word. How I learned about hope, I mean, come on, when you grow up in church, you read the Bible, you hear about hope. But I didn't have the experience of, see, I think even do the wrong thing, it's experience. Because there's going to come a time that what you think you know or what you're told don't work. So what you're left with, hope or total self-destruction. You know, I know what hope can do because there were times in the end all I had was hope. I didn't have a place to stay. I slept in, and my family don't even know this. I slept in basements. I mean, I slept in hallways. I didn't have to, but I just was ashamed. You know what? So all I had was hope. And see, when you get it that way, I ain't saying you got to go down to that. You can get hope just from getting up every morning, and your bills might not get paid, but you know if you get out and put into practice, that's hope. Because I think what it is, they said like it's like a little seed. You got to keep it. Yeah, I have hope it's gonna work. And you know, after a while, you start to see. Now, see that hope though, it kept me in a mind frame that I have a purpose in life, and it ain't to keep coming in and out of jail. That it's not to keep falling off. That I got hope. That there is help out there. And you know what? Once I opened up that door with the key of hope, it was like, man, even though I'm a little older now, you know, opportunities is still there. I just got to grab it. And you got to put into practice. So hope is for real. Because if it wasn't for real, I wouldn't be here. T wouldn't be here. You wouldn't. God, come on. Look where we sitting at. We don't have to be here. I could have met you somewhere else talking about just what we gonna do. But we doing that. You know, I think that these things, once you put them into practice, then you can see it. You can see it, but when you feel it and you can see it, it's a whole different ball game, and it grows, you know, and it's gonna grow some more. Cause I got struggles now, but you know what I mean. Hope, good people in my life, a clean place to stay. You know, just staying focused. That hope gonna grow, and maybe I can pass it on to somebody else. You know, that's what Jeremy did. He had hope. He put his hope into practice. And he came and passed it on to us and other people, and there's going to be other people before that. This place is going to be here even when he gone and we gone. This ain't going nowhere. You know, it's going to be even bigger. I can see it. It's going to be bigger than, watch, man, this place is going to be big. I'm telling you, I see it already.
And Jeremy, what do you want to say just to end this episode? What do you want to tell people about hope? I mean, what they're saying is like hope is a beautiful thing to have, but you got to have pathways for that hope to, you know, come to life, or else that's when the hopelessness sets in. So, I mean, you're out here providing hope for people, right, through your story, through the programs and the community at ARCOM. So what's something you want to tell everybody about hope?
I mean, hopes. It's. I think Pat did a great job of talking about that, man. I was processing what he was saying, and it's like, man, that comes from pure experience. You know what I mean? Having hope when you don't have a you know what I mean? To have a place to stay, that's pretty powerful stuff, man. And I think it's really like, sometimes like, being in T's position, a pass position, or you get out, you don't really actually, you feel like a little bit less than. Like, I just want to say this, right? That Pat story, T's story, your story, they're not greater or less than each other, right? They all hold this power, right? And when we can say that, like, I can use my experience and I'm gonna move forward, that's like hope in itself, right? Like that when I look at my brothers in the eyes and say I'm equal to you, not like less than you. You know what I mean? As I said, you mentioned my name several times. This is uncomfortable to me because it's like, no, seriously, right? Because it's like I'm not any different than you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm no different than you. I just been doing this just a little bit longer. You know what I mean? And it's like hope, and that's what I hope. That's what I hope is the thing. Is that like we're on the same path. I just been doing it a little bit longer. You know what I mean? That's it. That's the only difference. You know what I mean? Because we're just, you know what I mean? Like you're just as smart as I am. You know what I'm saying? Maybe probably smarter. You know what I'm saying? Like I think about what you guys have said today, like where you're at and stuff. It's like I just have a lot of like. Gives me a lot of inspiration watching these guys being grateful to be in the situation they're in. You know what I mean? Because some people are going to look at this situation and go, "Oh, look, you guys just got out of prison. You know what I mean? They got this, they got that." But these guys are sitting here saying that they're grateful. You know what I mean? That provides me hope. You know what I'm saying? That like no matter how bad my problems is, you know what I'm saying? Like I can be grateful for what I have in this very moment, and like, and if that's all, if all's I got is connection, like I'm doing okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. Well, I just want to tell you guys what I hope is that you both recognize how powerful your stories are individually, but also how powerful like this story of us is collectively. And I want to thank you guys for coming on the podcast and talking about your experience, day 5 into your reentry. Hopefully
we're gonna talk again in a little bit, and find out where you're at. You know what I mean? A few months from now, how you're feeling.
Yeah. So I hope that you guys just continue to push forward and take hold of those opportunities and keep hope alive for yourself and for other people too. But also, I hope if you're listening that you enjoyed the podcast. I hope that you download and subscribe and tell the homies about it, tell your family about it, your friends about it. I hope that you come back and listen to the next episode and you go back and listen to previous episodes. And most importantly, I hope that these stories we're telling on Behind the Door podcast inspire you to have better conversations with people about people in prison and people in recovery and people in reentry, because the big ultimate hope is that we all just get accepted back into society as the people we are today, because we got more to share and more to tell and more to teach than I think people give us credit for. And if you guys didn't display that today, then I don't know who would. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you everybody for listening. And this is another episode of Behind the Door.